What up, y'all? It's Eric, Underdogs of Addiction here. I know I haven't made a video in a while. Been going through some shit. So this video, I just want to keep it real about what's been going on. Maybe it can help someone else. So some of you guys know that I was working as a peer counselor, which essentially that is working with, you could work with people in recovery at treatment centers, youth. Basically, I was working with kids that are at risk, from some of the worst backgrounds you can think of. Kids that were abused in all different kinds of ways, kids that were homeless, kids that were addicted, usually teenagers. And I'm very passionate about that work because, I come from a family where there was a lot of trauma and a lot of living at the bottom, a lot of living in poverty, at least the first 10 years of my life or so. So I was very passionate about that job. I had basically been in recovery, a treatment center for a whole year before I came home. And I started working on getting my certificates and licenses to get this job. And, it was working out well. But, I got into a nice apartment, was making good money. But I started to notice that I was just starting to isolate. And that's a huge red flag for people in recovery. Friends and stuff were hitting me up, and I kind of was just, not hanging out with people. I broke up with my girlfriend, thinking that I don't need nobody. And I'm not sure why I started isolating a lot. I was starting to let the anxiety affect me. But the worst thing you can do is when you have anxiety is to let it take control and allow you to isolate yourself. Anxiety is just a feeling. It's a sensation. And you have to you just have to allow it to be. I think I had these big expectations on myself with this job and my family and everyone's that has helped me to be successful. And I really worked my ass off, hours and hours to get my licenses and credits and certificates. It was, a lot of discipline and a lot of just pushing through. But I started to just feel those feelings that you feel when you're about to relapse. I started doing my own trauma work and stuff with a therapist or whatever. And just a lot of stuff was coming up. And one thing I have to say now is that you cannot allow your feelings to dictate what you rationally must do. And I think I worked so hard these last few years on allowing myself to feel and deal with things that I started basing my decisions too much off feeling instead of rationality. And the night I decided to drink was about 2 months ago. And it was just because I was feeling all those things above, just lonely, super anxious. And it was all self-fulfilling because I was doing everything to make me feel that way. And I knew right when I picked up that drink that I was walking down a slippery slope. Because when you're staying sober and you're building that momentum in life, you're waking up early, you're working out, you're eating good, and you allow yourself to drink just that one day, even though you could have had 300, 400, 1,000 good days. You allow that one bad day to affect you. And it just started this cascade to where I find myself right now. And basically, I drank that one time, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. This is going to fuck me up. And, I went to work the next week. I did fine. 2-3 weeks later, started feeling those same feelings again, did the same thing. And this time I drank more, got sober again for 2-3 weeks, and then did it again. And by that third week, I had partied on a Friday and a Saturday. And I somehow that weekend got sick. Normally when I get sick, I can still work through it, but because I was so hungover, I had to call out for multiple days, and my job knew something was up. Long story short, 3 weeks later, I ended up getting fired from that job, even though I was one of the best young new employees there. Was getting a lot of respect and admiration from my peers, and I really loved the job. But that devil, this disease of addiction, whether it's mental health, trauma, whatever, all these things, it led me to making that one bad choice. And I had done so well and stayed sober for so many months when I got home. And I had many times where I was triggered before, but I was able to get out of it, calling somebody, working out. And what I found is there's no medication, there's no therapy, there's no nothing that's ever going to take away some of those things that you deal with. A lot of times in life, you have to just learn to sit with what's bothering you and just sit with it and know that it'll pass, because there's so many times in my sobriety where I've had those overwhelming feelings and I use my rationality to, ride it through. But as soon as you tap into your feelings and you allow yourself to make a choice on how you feel, that's when you're in trouble. And that's what I did. And every choice you make every day can send you into a direction of success or to a direction of failure. And I made a lot of good choices over the last 2 years, going into recovery, graduating 2 treatment centers, getting all these certifications and licenses, working for almost 5 months as a peer counselor, where I hadn't had a normal job in over 10 years because I was an entrepreneur, but just doing well. And just one little failure, one choice led me back down and started to burn my life down in the course of 2 months. Now I am sober right now. I don't want to drink because it's really fucked things up for me very fast, especially when you're living in an expensive new apartment. You got all your bills and you're used to living off $4,000 a month or more or whatever. Things have got very real for me, and I'm pinning it down to just that one choice. Like, if I didn't make that choice and I made a different choice, we'd be in a different place. But I tend to believe that we all go through things for a reason. I think I may have needed this big failure to get me to the next level of success, because I worked my ass off for 2 or 3 months to even get the job that I got. And then to lose that really sucks. And sometimes in life you really have to feel that pain of regret, feel that pain of your mistakes, and build yourself back up, because it's going to be a constant roller coaster in life. But sometimes you want to find that gray area where you can just balance, and that's where I thought I was at. But even before I relapsed, I found myself like in this nice apartment, bank account's full, food's full, but I found myself just not happy. And it's not even about happiness. I didn't feel right. And I allowed my feelings to cause me to make choices that made everything worse, that cause you to feel worse. That's why you got to have your purpose. And that's what got me up most days, is even if I wasn't feeling good, there were these kids I wanted to help. And so each day I got up and did my job. And that's just what it is. So I just wanted to make this video to check in, explain to you guys what's going on, but also just to explain to you guys who maybe haven't made those mistakes yet, just to be very careful, because things get really real. You can make one wrong choice and you can set yourself back 5 years. I know I'm going to be fine. I still have all my credentials and stuff, and I can go work for another organization. But this is more of a video for those of us, struggling, is that even though we feel all these things and we may be struggling mentally, spiritually, that we really have to work on using our rationality and not base our decisions off our feelings, because that is going to make everything worse. Now, I'm not saying to not allow yourself to address things, but we really have to think wiser and smarter about what we do, because those consequences are real. And drugs and alcohol, none of those things have ever made any problem go away or get better. I've seen the end stages of addiction. I've seen my grandmother's sister die of cirrhosis. I've seen my aunt die of overdose. I've seen my dad destroy himself over the last 20, 30 years, to the point now where his mind is completely gone off every hard drug you can think of, mental health. And I saw the choices that he made that led him there. And no matter what you're dealing with mentally, addiction-wise, we all have choices. And we could choose to be victims, or we can choose to be overcomers and warriors, and to ask for help and to make better choices and get support. And if you don't do that and you do struggle with mental health and addiction, it doesn't end well. Poverty, addiction, all those things, it's like a disease of the mind. Once you get trapped into that way of thinking and that sadness and those emotions, it can lock you down for the rest of your life and keep you at your knees. I've seen it. I've seen my dad out here, go from extremely talented drummer who could have, who was touring the world at one point, to, 20 years later, has nowhere to live, a slave to drug addiction. It's really ugly. It can get really ugly. And I see that. So whenever I catch myself slipping, even if it's just with a few beers, just like when I go out, it's just like what normal people do. But for me, it just affects me differently, and I've seen what it's done in the short term for me, and I've seen what it's done in the long term to my family, and it's just not worth it. So I hope this video inspires anybody out there to ask for help, to make that next right choice. Because once you get that momentum going, it's very dangerous. And just to know, when you stall that momentum and you make that one bad choice to drink or to do something that's not good for you, it can take years to get back to where you were. So just know that it's not worth it. And we have to be very tough. Ancestors that came through the world before, they used to just fight for survival. Like, their purpose was just to survive, and things get so easy sometimes in America that people forget that we're descendants of very, very tough people. And tough times could be an amazing blessing, because it gives you that juxtaposition, because 8 years ago on this date, I was making really good money. My music career was doing good. But I still dealt with some things. But I tell you, it's a lot easier to deal with your problems when you got checks coming in for $8,000. And it just puts things in perspective. But there's a lot of wisdom and beauty when you break your life down and have to rebuild it, because you start to see your choices and how you ended up there. And when you get to the top again, you'll always remember those lows and what led you there. And once you get to the top, that's when you can really start helping people. Like, when you're on the bottom, as much as you want to help people, you can't really do shit for nobody. So that's another motivation to get yourself sober, to get yourself making money, so you can actually bring other people up, because it doesn't do anyone good for everyone to be on the bottom. And I do believe addiction, poverty, all those things are a disease. And once that disease gets you, It takes a lot of work to get out of it. So I just wanted to make this video. It's just a real video for anybody that's going through a rock bottom, anybody that's going through an emotional low. You know, maybe you lost your job, maybe you lost your girl, your boyfriend, maybe you lost your house, maybe you're sick, maybe someone just died. That I feel you, and I've been through every one of those things at different times. But you just got to wake up sometimes. That's what I try to do, and just find the things that you're grateful for. I can see, I can smell, I can walk. I got people that care about me, even if you don't have any material items. There's always something to be grateful for, and there's always somebody that's going through harder times than you that's able to put a smile on their face and have the courage to get up and keep fighting. Self-harm should not be an option. Taking yourself out should not be an option. You got to keep going, because that is a permanent decision off a temporary emotion, and things always turn around. And I've been through so much ups and downs in my life. I know sunny day is not too far away whenever I'm going through it. So I just try to take the lessons from the mistakes, from the failures, from the pain, and move forward. And that gives me a certain type of integrity. It gives me a certain type of experience, character. It gives me a certain type of I can't find the word that I'm looking for, but it just does something to you, opposed to somebody who's never had to go through any traumas in life or any pain. Everyone has to go through some level of pain. Even if you come from a great family and plenty of money, there's emotional pains. Financial success is one thing, but there's a lot of people who are struggling spiritually and emotionally. There's many different flavors that you got to spice and add into the soup of life to make it taste good, right? So if you're going through any of those struggles, I just challenge you to get up and keep fighting, and just see if you can make it through today. Find a reason to make it through today. Find a reason to feel good today. And just know that you're not the only person out there struggling. And all of those of you that are struggling with addiction, you just got to find that why. Find that why. There's been a journey for me since I was 28 years old till now of trying to recover. And I turned 35 in a month or two. And it's a battle, and I haven't won it. I've won a lot of battles, actually, but I haven't won the war completely. But I know one day I'm going to get there. So just know that your life has value, there's a purpose, and that God's walking with you. Maybe he's taking you through this time in your life to show you something. And that's the way I like to look at it. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.